Art has been described as the reflection of the soul of its time, from cave walls to digital canvases. Now add artificial intelligence, and it challenges our idea of creativity, ownership, and originality in a whole new way. What does this mean for art and artists? Is this a threat to our human touch, or simply a new artistic revolution? I'm Stefanie Dekker, and this is The Stream.
Some creative jobs maybe will go away, but maybe they shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is it's like this and like that and like this and it's like that and like this and like that and it's like this and like that and like this and Dre creep to the mic.
You can now create your own animated cartoons with this AI tool.
I am the sword of justice, forged to protect the innocent and strike down evil.
Call me naive, but I really did think that us creative people would have some form of solidarity against AI.
Now, in this episode, we're painting a picture of how AI is reshaping the creative landscape. We're talking about art made or influenced by AI. Now, is it still art if a human didn't make it? Who decides what art is? Can art be anything? We'll hear from creators and critics who are trying to keep up with how quickly things are changing. Now, to discuss this further, we have Molly Crabapple. She's an artist joining us from New York. Hassan Ragab is a multidisciplinary designer and conceptual artist. He's in Irvine, California. And Sofia Crespo is a visual artist joining us from Lisbon. A warm welcome to you all. Sofia, I would like to start with you. If you could describe to us what AI in art is, how is it being used? If you can, like a synopsis.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. For me, the way I see AI is, first of all, not just a single thing. It's a set of very diverse tools. The way that I use AI in my practice is as raw code that I run on my GPUs at home, my studio. And basically, I have the capacity to train my own AI. There's very often this kind of discussion between what AI means in the mainstream and what it means for artists that have been working with AI for many years. I've been working with AI for around 7 years. And so as you can imagine, none of the mainstream tools that we talk about today existed. So artists back then, we had to learn to train our own models, gather on our own data, and think about the things we're creating with it. So AI to me means a very different thing to the set of tools that we have available today that are mainly talked about. And I think that's something very important to point out. Yeah.
Okay, so you use it as simply another tool in your creative art box, so to speak.
Exactly.
Molly, AI, is this a good or a bad thing when it comes to the creative process of making art?
I mean, generative AI is terrible, and not just for the livelihoods of illustrators, and not just because it's filling our visual landscape with slop and brain rot. AI art generators are also destroying the planet. They're using up massive amounts of water, of power, of conflict minerals that are mined by enslaved kids in the Congo. And they're using them for the purpose of allowing venture capitalists to speculate on companies like Stability AI, and also to allow people to churn out dumb memes of Tony Soprano eating a hamburger. We're literally destroying our natural world and also destroying the livelihoods of anyone with a creative job so that we can turn out frivolous and really stupid memes.
Well, let me just play a short clip that goes to what the feeling is online. Not everyone is against using AI in their artwork. Some say, since a machine cannot replace a human's touch, why are we worrying so much?
AI art is never going to replace artists because AI can't create new things. That is a fundamental misconception that people have about many of these algorithms. Bard, Midjourney, ChatGPT, these are all just very sophisticated averaging functions. They just generate things similar to their training data. Sure, you can say that humans take inspiration from other human art styles. However, when they do this, they're applying their own artistic taste and their own unique experiences. Even if artists sample other artists, they're bringing something new to the equation, but AI does not. It's often observed that things that are very tedious or detailed for humans to make are super easy for AI to generate. Whereas to draw a simple thing requires being able to simplify it, which means understanding what that thing is and understanding which parts need to be drawn and which parts don't. All this to say, that's why I think artists should not fear AI art, and rather they should try to learn how to use it and incorporate it into their workflow. Because it's not going to replace you in the thing that you're good at, but it will save you a lot of time.
See, it's interesting as we talk about AI replacing jobs, not just in art, but across sectors. Hassan, you say you wouldn't have a career if it weren't for AI. That was from our pre-interview with you in the show. What do you mean by that?
I wouldn't be here with you if I wasn't using large language models, the ones that are available at the market, and posting on social media. That's what I meant by a career. But actually, I have a career as an architect, as a computational designer for 13 years. I've only doing that, what you're seeing here on Instagram, for about 3 years. And I don't know, for me, it's just the AI tool is just the tools out there, they're just a discovery. And I'm really interested in the models, the big models. So I don't train my models like Sofia, and because my work is focused on exploring the potentials of the tools that we have right now. So basically, that's what I meant by career. Basically, that's me being here.
Do you think we should be scared of AI in art? Does it change what art is? Because I mean, art is very subjective, right? And it also, the artist takes from their emotional experience, their ups, their downs, their pain, their trauma, their happiness. When you start pulling that kind of inspiration from technology, which has taken it already from things that exist, and we'll get into that about copyright, does it change what art is, or does art simply always change?
I've never had I never thought that I have the I don't know, the proper way to say what art is. I really don't know. That's my way to try to explore what art is. I think it is subjective. I think for some people they like stuff, some people don't like stuff. Some people like Mona Lisa, some people don't. Some people like Jackson Pollock, some people don't. I think, for me, art should come from authenticity, so that you trying to be honest with yourself and be true with yourself, regardless what tool are you using.
Art should come from authenticity, but that's an issue, isn't it, with AI when it sources from what is already out there. Sofia, you were talking about it is our natural instinct to build. You were mentioning in our pre-interview as well, birds build nests, we build computers, and things evolve. But you have built an AI model, you were saying, only sourcing from your own work. So copyright and licensing is something you're aware of and is important to you, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So I really like the craft of making my own data sets. Sometimes I also work with public domain data, so illustrations that are hundreds of years old and are in the public domain. So we all have access to using them. But I also really like the craft element of, I love diving, taking underwater photography. I like analog photography. Working with different techniques that allow me to make my own data sets. There's very often this conception that we all need a huge data center where the AIs are being trained. That's the industrial model. That's what the big corporations are doing, but not what small artists like myself are doing. We have literally 4 GPUs. And it's no different to a game engine workflow. We train our own small models. We don't have massive models with millions of hyperparameters. So I just want to point that out, because I think under the word AI, a lot of things get grouped that don't really belong together. And I just want to show that there's different ways to work with AI outside of the big standard models as well.
All right. Well, have you ever wondered why these AI tools are so accurate with their image generation? Some artists say that's because the AI companies use the photos of real artworks from the internet to train their programs. And not everyone is a fan of that.
When an AI creates a piece of art, it doesn't generate that content out of thin air. Instead, there needs to be an input in order for there to be an output. In the big picture, machine learning companies such as Stability AI generate profits from high quality media. And the creation of this media depends entirely on training their AI on a specific dataset. These images are made by assembling visual data that have statistical correlations to each other to produce a final result that looks acceptable. That's a very simplified explanation, but that's the gist of how AI systems work. All you gotta know is in order for that image to be generated, there has to be a dataset, and that is where the problem comes in. In these datasets, there exists billions of copyrighted images, of artworks, of photographs, of people, all of which was collected from the internet without the consent of the intellectual property owner. My personal artwork that I share on my Instagram page has been used to train AI models. And chances are, if you've shared your work online or even images of yourself, your house, your environment, you might have been included in these datasets.
Molly, are there safeguards against this? How out of control is this situation?
There are absolutely no safeguards. I appreciated what Sofia was saying about the difference between what she's doing and these huge image generators that are what most people think of with AI. I'm talking about like DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. These image generators suctioned up billions and billions of images of copyrighted work, including my own work, every other working artist's work. And they use them to train these bots whose goal is to replace us, to get rid of our ability to make a livelihood. They produced image generators that quite literally knock off our work without our permission so that someone doesn't have to hire us. They can just get our disembodied style. And there are absolutely no safeguards in the US. Trump just fired the head of the part of the government that deals with copyright because she recently said that all these image generators were trained on stolen work. I don't know, maybe in the EU perhaps, where there are stronger authors' protections. But the problem is that these generators, even if people are having fun using them, even if they think they're making something cool, these generators are making the world worse in every single way, from contributing vastly to the climate crisis to stealing the work of working class illustrators and destroying their ability to make a living. And yes, sure, people will always be creative. That's what humans are. But taking away the ability of people that aren't rich to make a living doing creative work, that cuts off the legs of an entire generation, and it destroys our ability to have young people make art and make a living making art.
Just for our viewers, Trump, of course, that is the US President Donald Trump. Hassan, you said something interesting earlier. You said that you didn't think that the work you do is your own, that ideas should be shared. Can you elaborate on that? Because that really comes down to copyright and comes down to all these things we're discussing.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd love to talk about my philosophy, but first of all, like I wanna like take a minute and like reflect on Molly's like respond basically. I think you can look at like any technology that it could like destroy humanity or can build on like great things. And I think there is a big problem when we think about like utilizing big or like large language models, that they're only there to destroy humanity. There are great things that can come from like these tools. So like, yeah, there are like dangers, there are problems, there are so many things that can happen with these tools that can go south really. But again, it's I look at them as a collaborative tools. Like many people are like, I don't know, like, yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are against it. For me, it just like it gives me access to the world really. And in my work, I'll try to be very, very careful not to replicate. I'm not. My intention is not like when I'm using these models, I don't want to get anybody's work. I don't want to, I don't know, destroy anybody's life. Really, I'm just want to explore things. And you can say that about any technology. Really, any technology can go ahead, and any technology can do great achievements. I can see really her point, but again, that's not what only large language models are capable of. For so many people, it has gave them access to express themselves in ways that they couldn't. And again, art is subjective. So Molly might say that, yeah, she doesn't agree with it, but other people, they might agree with it.
Molly, do you want to jump in? It looked like you wanted to say something there.
No, I absolutely understand what you're saying, but the thing about AI is that the large language models and the image generators is that they are destroying our physical world. Like, we only have so much water in this world. We only, have so many degrees that the climate can warm before all of our coastal cities are in deep trouble. And at this point, AI is like the data centers and the server farms and the training and all of that with AI is poised to use more energy than the entire country of Argentina. This isn't sustainable. I mean, I'm a painter. I love cool tools. If I painted stuff with radium, it would make a cool glowing green that was unlike any green that I could make. It would also give everyone who saw that painting cancer because radium, has radiation in it. And I just don't see how we can possibly justify the destruction of the planet and the destruction of other people's livelihoods, not just artists, but so many people's livelihoods, just because we can do a cool trick with this. We're artists. We can do all sorts of cool tricks. We are creative people. That's why we're artists.
I was reading actually a fact saying that if you ask ChatGPT around 20 questions, even if you're just playing around, that's the equivalent of pouring half a liter of water down the drain, which actually I did sort of wake me up because we all play around the ChatGPT. Sofia, I want to ask you, you use this in your art. You've been using this for years before sort of, I guess, all of us sort of woke up to it. How essential is it? Or is it something, I mean, it's sort of a relevant question because it's here to stay, as everyone has been telling us that we talk to about artificial intelligence. But how relevant is it to your art? And could you survive without it?
I could survive without it. I was making art before it. I didn't start making art because of AI. For me, I always enjoyed expressing myself in a creative way. But I became interested especially in this idea of collaging. So again, it's a bit of a different approach in the sense that I don't need a large data set to do that. I can literally use 20 images and train my own little model and collage and have fun with it. Definitely, I think it's not going to go away. There seems to be race to the bottom in the sense that corporations are pouring more and more resources to make larger and larger models. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon, again, unless there's some huge regulation that comes and somehow shuts it down. I agree that it's very important to protect copyright and to honor that in general because of privacy as well. So I think if an artist says, I don't want my work to become part of a data set, I think that should be honored, that wish. And I think what I hope is that we change our way of seeing AI as the culprit of something. Agency needs to remain human. Humans have to be in charge. So ultimately, I don't think it makes any sense to blame the AI because the AI didn't create itself. It doesn't have agency. It's only humans that really choose where to direct it. And so whatever gets done wrong, it's always a human sitting behind the computer that does it. So yeah, that's something that I care a lot about specifically because I work with the natural world, and I think it's very important to think about how the natural world is being represented as well. But yeah,
Hassan, you have called this a very disruptive moment in our time. What do you mean by that?
I wasn't the only person who said that. Everybody's saying that. Obviously.
I have you on the show, so you're going to have to.
No, I agree. It's disruptive. It means that like the conversation that we're having right now, like we have something that is, or like a tool that is very powerful, but also it's very democratic, and people are using that in so many different ways and different applications. And usually, whenever there are new technology like comes to like becomes available to the masses, you come like a big disruption. Think about electricity, think about the internet, think about nuclear power. Nuclear power wasn't like in the hands of the availability, but I mean like it was available to people or like the governments. And when that happens, usually there is a big disruption that happens. For me personally, using these large language models enable me to explore a new visual vocabulary for me, maybe for other people. And the idea that Sophia was talking about, the collaging idea, I'm also very interested in it. And I've also been an artist for maybe 12 or 13 years, like building stuff, like even buildings. I've built many objects of many scales in real life or like painting. But with large language models, I I could really make a collage. I like to think by the help of the entire human existence, because basically now you have a big data set, and I know the copyrights are issues, and I understand that. And again, I don't want to force people to put their work on large language models and not get credit or pay for it. I'm truly with like empowering people, whatever tools that they're using. But again, with this tool, we had never something like that where you can really explore so many ideas. For myself, if I'm always getting inspired by other people, and that's what I mean. But my work is not really my own, because I get inspired by this artist, by this architect, by this furniture designer, and that's how my ideas are formed. But with AI, it really helps me to explore things that I couldn't have gotten on my own. Many people maybe, and I've seen a lot of people using these large language models in great ways. Yes, we have problems with um, maybe like, yeah, like something about like power consumption. That's something that needs to be looked into, and like, like we need to get solution on that. Talking about the copyrights, yes, we need to get solutions to that. But again, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here, because sometimes I'm against AI, but for me, it's a great tool to express. And while I don't think it's going away, I think many people will continue to use it. And that's what I mean by disruptive, because it's something that's very, very powerful, and we don't fully understand the impacts on the society yet.
We are running out of time. I'm going to have to jump in there. Impact on society, it is here to stay. Molly, how would you describe the era that we are in when it comes to artificial intelligence, not just in art, but it's affecting every aspect of our lives?
I guess I would call it the slop era. We're at a time where the United States government saw hundreds of thousands of jobs slashed by an agency, DOGE, that claims that AI can do the job of experienced government workers. Basically, what these large language models are doing is they're allowing big Silicon Valley corporations to either eliminate the jobs of everyone from illustrators to coders to writers to translators, or else to make the jobs vastly worse. Because the thing with these models is that they're actually quite bad and glitchy, and they actually do need humans to check them because they hallucinate bizarre fantasies. But what they can be used for is they can be used to allow companies to pay workers less, to give them less autonomy and power, and to fire half of them and make the remaining people do those jobs. I see it as nothing more than a further degradation of our society, of our natural world, of the bonds we have with each other, of work, of truth, of creativity.
On that note, we've unfortunately run out of time. Just like art, I think AI is how you view it, is subjective, open to opinion, but I think we can all agree that it is here to stay, and we do have responsibility of how we use it. Molly, Hassan, and Sofia, thank you so very much for joining us today, and thank you all for watching. Stay in touch online, and I'll see you next time.